Hey, Stewart's Chapel, this is Don Pierson, and Don counts behind the camera, and we're at Stonebridge Park today, and this is Wednesday's devotion. We're in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, 15, and 16. Very familiar passage in the Sermon on the Mount. Says, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Keep the light on. Keep the light on. Don't cover it up. Let it shine, because when they see the presence of the light, that is Jesus Christ in you, they will glorify the Father in heaven. Keep the light on. Don't cover it up. This has been probably about 15 years ago. We hadn't lived at the farm very long. Had a new barn built. I was raising llamas then, and it was time to feed. I had a lot of llamas, so it usually took a while to feed, and I had gone into the barn. I didn't turn the light on. I went into the barn and went into the feed bin, and when I went into the feed bin, I heard a noise. Well, it was that 7-year cycle like this year where the cicadas were out, and you know the noise they make. And so I went in the barn and went into the feed bin. It was dark, but I could still see the feed. I fed and I heard that noise. Came back out, emptied those buckets and went back in. I did this several times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and each time I walked in, I heard that noise. On the last trip in, I had probably been in there 5 or 6 times. On the last trip in, I remember thinking, I wonder if that's a rattlesnake. I hadn't seen a rattlesnake on my farm at that time, and we had lived there a couple of years, so I didn't think anything about it. The cicadas were loud, and I thought, well, maybe that's a rattlesnake. So I went ahead and got the feed and went back out and fed. The whole time, every time I went in, that noise would start. I decided to turn the light on. I should have done that first time. Turned the light on, I walked into the feed bin, and nothing. No noise, nothing. I thought, must have been a cicada. Well, I start walking out of the barn. I had peacocks, and I don't know whether you know anything at all about peacocks. Peacocks despise snakes. I went down to the house, and the peacocks were going crazy up in the corner of the barn where I had just been. I go in the house to get me a drink, and about that time I hear Trish yelling for me, "Snake, snake." Well, I come running out, then all of a sudden I hear her say, "I think it's a rattlesnake." And sure enough, it was a big rattlesnake, about 48 inches long, 12 rattlers and a button. And those peacocks, she said, had been up at that corner of the barn, and they had been crazy, and they had driven or chased that rattlesnake all the way down to the house until it was about a foot from the house, and right there at the clothesline where she was hanging clothes out. Needless to say, that rattlesnake could have got me. I should have kept the light on. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people out there that are in darkness. Jesus is the light, but when we are in Him, we are the light of the world. We are not to cover up that light. We're not to do anything. We're to keep the light on, my brothers and sisters, because when they see Christ in us, they too will know the truth of the light, and they will glorify the Father. You keep the light on. Love ya.